What is up, guys? If you watch my videos, you know where we are at right now. Seminole Hard Rock in Hollywood, Florida. I'm pretty tired tonight. I've been grinding a lot. We had a big tournament series last week and I haven't taken too many days off, but it's Saturday night. Should be some good games running. It is a packed house here at the Hard Rock. This is why I have to park back here away from where I usually park. I have to walk in because it's so busy on Saturdays. But there's a couple 510s, a 1025. Let's see what happens. Let's get down to the table. Let's get to the action. Let's go.
Here we go. Got me with a kick. I did.
All right, let's get started here. Sitting down at the 5-10 game, we're playing with the straddle, and I peel back queens from early position. I make it 3x, $75. The button comes along with the call along with the straddle. We see a great flop of Jack 3-6 rainbow. Straddle checks to me, and I bet out $100 here. Over to the button, who has about $2,300 in his stack, and he now raises me to $300. Getting into an interesting hand now right off the bat. The straddle player goes into the tank with about $1,500 left in her stack. If she calls, I'm not really sure exactly what I'll do here with my overpair, but eventually she folds. So with the action back over on me, I have to figure out, should I call this $300 raise, should I fold, or should I re-raise another time here on the flop? When the button raises here to $300, I think he's going to have a top pair holding a lot of the time. I don't expect him to have pocket jacks. I think he would 3-bet that pre-flop. He shouldn't have any 2 pairs on this board on Jack 6-3, so I put him on a hand like Ace Jack, King Jack, and with pocket queens, my hand actually does need a little bit of protection. If I had pocket aces, I think I would just call this raise, but given the fact that I have queens here on a jack-high board, I do think I could put in another raise here on the flop, trying to get more money in while I'm ahead, and then shoving most turn cards that don't include a jack, an ace, or a king. So I decide to bump it up here on the flop. I make it $850. This will set up for a nice turn jam if my opponent does end up making the call. Looking back here, I don't really like this 3-bet on the flop just because I'm not going to have too many bluffs. I guess some bluffs I could have would be like 4-5 suited, or maybe a hand like King-Queen with a backdoor flush draw, trying to represent those big overpairs. Eventually my opponent makes to fold. He didn't think about it for too long, so not even sure if he even had a jack here. He could have just had a pocket pair, but we end up taking down our first pot here with pocket queens. I've made over 150 poker vlogs so far, and I basically have it down to a science of how I do my intros, how I set up my camera, writing down notes and everything like that, but it doesn't mean that it's not very difficult. Filming a poker vlog is a lot harder than you would think. I gotta make sure my camera is set up in the right angle. I gotta make sure people can't see my cards when I show them to the camera. Gotta make sure it's a good viewpoint. Have to make sure my camera's still rolling. I have battery. I'm taking notes, and I'm also trying to play good poker throughout this entire thing as well. So sometimes I'm not able to record a hand just because either I forget or a hand goes very quickly and I'm not able to turn on my camera. And unfortunately, in this next hand, I play a very big pot, but I wasn't able to get live action footage. But how it goes is there's a reg in the cutoff who is very aggressive. He raises it up here to $75, and with Ace-Jack offsuit on the button, I think this is a hand I should be 3-betting a lot of the time, so I re-raise to $225. Back over to the cutoff, and he now 4-bets me to $650. In live poker, most of the time when someone 4-bets, they usually have hands like queens, kings, aces, and ace-king. Well, when you're playing up against very tough players, sometimes they can have some bluffs in their range. He realizes that I'm probably 3-betting fairly light on the button because I have position, so he may be taking advantage of this by 4-betting me light now in the cutoff. So with this being said, I think versus a regular recreational player or a tighter knit, I would just snap fold my ace-jack offsuit, but versus this particular player who is definitely capable of putting on the pressure, getting out of line a little bit pre-flop, I think my hand could be a call, and it could also be a 5-bet bluff. I think sometimes here he could just be doing this with total random hands that I could put in another re-raise to maybe 13, 1400 and try to take down the pot, but I actually think just calling here in position is fine as well. He can have some weaker suited aces that he's doing this with, some weaker Jack X holdings like King Jack offsuit, Queen Jack offsuit, so I elect to call this 4-bet and go heads up to the flop. The board comes down ace, king, 3 with 2 hearts. We flop top pair with a jack kicker, and my opponent continues for $425. Well, if we're going to call a 4-bet with ace, jack, and flop top pair, I think our only option here is to call. We could be losing to ace, queen, ace, king, maybe pocket kings, but like I said, I think he can still have a lot of bluffs, so I elect to call 425. Going to the 3 of clubs on the turn, I think this is an amazing card. Now we're chopping with a hand like ace-queen, which is definitely a likely holding that he could have. The cutoff player, however, does not slow down. He now continues for $525. He has about $2,000 left in his stack, so at this point, I just have to make up my mind. Either I'm going to call the turn and then call mostly all rivers, or I'm just going to fold the turn. And like I said, no way I'm calling preflop with ace-jack to fold an ace on the flop and the turn, so I make the call for $525. This pot is getting huge. 4-bet pot pre-flop, a massive flop going here to the river, which is the 10 of spades. I actually think this is a fairly bad card. The reason that I think this is a bad card is because Queen Jack now gets there as a straight, which is definitely a hand that he could 4-bet light pre-flop with, bet the flop and bet the turn. So if he jams all in here on the river for $2,000, I am not going to like it, but eventually he checks. I pretty quickly check behind, and he doesn't want to show his hand right away, but I make him show first because he's the out of position player, and he shows Queen 9 offsuit for a queen high. I show the ace jack, and we end up taking down a big pot here, catching a pretty big punt by my opponent. Up a decent amount to start the day. There's a raise to $60 from early position. Cutoff player calls. Pocket 5s on the button. Let's set mine here. Straddle calls as well. 4 ways to a beautiful King 7-5 flop. Bottom set for us. 2 diamonds on this board. I'm hoping some big bets will go in here. Straddle checks. Early position razor checks. Cutoff player checks, and I'm definitely going to be betting. I make it $175. Under the gun folds, early position player folds, but the cutoff comes along with a check call. We're now heads up in position, and the turn card, Bink, gives us a full house. It's a king. Cutoff player checks, and I think a lot of the time when he check calls this flop, he's going to have straight draws, gut shots, flush draws. With a full house now, he's most likely drawing dead. It's possible he can have a 7x holding as well. So I don't want to go too big and scare him away with his flush draws, straight draws, or 7x holdings. So I just bet $200 here, and the cutoff player very quickly calls $200. So I'm hoping for a clean river to get some big money here on the river. And unfortunately, it's one of the worst rivers in the deck. It's another king. So now my flop set gets counterfeit, and any pocket pair above my 5 is now beating me. A very nasty, disastrous run out for a flop set. He can have a king, a 7, a pocket pair that's beating me. So I decide to just check this one back, and he tells me he has jack high. I show pocket 5s, and they are good. What a gross run out, but can't complain when the chips are going in our direction. All right, so game wasn't bad, but it was full of regular players who I play with on basically a daily basis. All of them are just trying to win at poker. So ideally, not really the kind of people you want to be playing with. But I did get invited to go to a bar that's in downtown Fort Lauderdale. So I left the poker table. We're going to go home, get changed, go to the bar, and I'll keep you guys updated. I quickly go home and change, let Rogue out to go to the bathroom, and then head downtown to Fort Lauderdale. I arrive here at the Wharf, which is a massive bar in downtown Fort Lauderdale. It is Saturday night around midnight, and it is packed packed full of people. They have some cool activities, some awesome food trucks, and a huge dance floor as well. I'm here with my friends. I get a couple drinks and enjoy a little bit of pizza as well. After a few hours at the bar enjoying some pizza and beer, I'm feeling pretty energized, so I come back here to the Hard Rock. I've also only played 3 hands in my earlier session, which is not enough poker hands to make a vlog out of, so I decide to come back in here around 2 a.m. They have a 10, 25, 50 game running. There's a couple non-professional poker players at the table, so I sit down, buy in for $5,000, and immediately get into some big spots. I do apologize to you guys. This first hand I wasn't able to get live footage of. Literally, my first hand at the table, I look down at aces from early position. I raise to $125. I get a call from middle position and a call from the straddle. 3 ways to an ace, king, 5 board. Top set for us with a flush draw on the flop. When the under the gun player checks, I bet out 175. Middle position player folds, but the straddle comes along with a call. Turn card is the 6 of clubs, so now brings in 2 flush draws, diamonds, and clubs. I do have the ace of clubs in my hand, so I block him from having an ace x of clubs hand. When he checks to me, I size up here on the turn with top set to $700. Without thinking for too long, the straddler comes along with a call, so we're holding the nuts, aces, in a big pot already, going here to the river. 3 of spades on the river. The flush draws miss. My opponent checks over to me, and this opponent is actually the same guy who 4-bet me light earlier on in the night with queen 9 offsuit. I decide to go with an $800 bet here, basically trying to get a crying call from a king x hand. If he somehow has the last ace in the deck, he'll be calling an $800 bet with that hand as well, but also by betting $800 into a $2,100 pot. With over $3,000 left in my stack, it may induce him to turn his hand into a bluff. He may think that I have a hand like ace-jack or ace-queen that I may fold if he puts me all in. After thinking for about a minute, my opponent eventually folds, so we end up taking this one down. Next hand, an aggressive pro from under the gun makes it 125. Another pro from under the gun +2 re-raises to $425, and I'm in the small blind with jacks. An interesting spot, holding the 4th best hand you can get pre-flop. Against these aggressive players, I decided to go with a cold 4-bet to $1150. Under the gun folds and back over to under the gun +2, who decides to 5-bet me to $2,425. A really sick spot here with pocket jacks. I actually think he's just always going to have me beat here. I don't think he's ever 5-betting as a bluff, given the fact that I only have about $4,000 left in my stack. I do think he would jam all in with ace king, so I pretty much think he's always going to have queens, kings, or aces here. I think he just calls with hands like 10s and jacks, so I decide to 4-bet and fold pocket jacks facing a 5-bet. He doesn't show me what he had, so we will never know if it's a good fold or not. The very next hand, I look down at king queen offsuit on the button. Same player who 5-bet me last hand raises to 125. I call and the small blind calls. 3 ways to king queen 5, 2 diamonds, flopping top 2 pair in a massive 10, 25, 50 game. Early position player bets out 175, and I am not going to be slow playing such a strong hand on such a wet and connected board. I raise it up right away to $675. Small blind player folds and the action's back over on the low jack. This player just 5-bet me a hand before, and now he is not toning down the aggression. He re-raises me here on the flop to $1,675. Another 6 spot for us, facing a 3-bet on the flop with top 2 pair. Now we could be drawing dead to a hand like queens or kings or even pocket 5s. We're drawing very slim, but with only $4,000 left, top 2 pair is too good to fold, so I jam it all in. My opponent makes a snap call. We decide to run out of the board 2 times, almost $10,000 in the middle. First card's a queen, giving us a full house right away. The second run out comes a jack and a brick. I show my hand for king queen and he mucks. So we end up getting a full double up here, flopping top 2 pair on the flop, over $4,600 going in on the flop. We hold up after 2 runouts and win a massive $9,700 pot. I would say this game is anywhere from 2 to 5 times bigger than the normal game I play, which is 510, $2,500 cap. Because this game plays with a straddle and it's an uncapped buy-in, I'm basically always covered by my opponent, so I could be playing some huge pots. So to get a full double up here basically right off the bat and have over a $9,000 stack is just amazing, because I'm only in the game for $6,000 and now I have over $9,000 to play with. It's basically the dream spot when you're taking a shot at a bigger game. I switched seats to seat number 2 to get a better viewpoint for the vlog. I looked down at Queen Jack of clubs and we're actually doing a $100 straddle round. So the game is 10, 25, 50, 100. Folds to the small blind who calls $100. I raise to $350 with Queen Jack offsuit. A very good player in the $50 straddle flat calls my $350 bet in position, and then the limper calls as well. So we end up going 3 ways to an ace jack 5 rainbow board. Flopping second pair, I think I could c-bet here sometimes or check. Multi-way, I decide to check, and now the under the gun player puts out a $550 bet. The limper folds, and with the action back over on me, second pair, I can improve here to 2 pair. I could also have the best hand sometimes, so I come along with a call for $550. Heads up now, out of position to the 6 of diamonds on the turn. I continue to play and flow and check over to my opponent, and checking is not what he wants to do. He has over $30,000 in his stack, and he bets out $1,500. This is a big bet. This game is huge. I have over $8,000 left in my stack, and I now got to figure out what I want to do. I actually don't think he's going to have too strong of a hand as played. He didn't 3-bet pre-flop, so we can assume he doesn't have a hand like aces or jacks, ace-jack, ace-queen, ace-king. So for value, he can have some hands like ace-deuce through ace-9 suited, maybe pocket fives. All those hands we're obviously losing to. He can still have some bluffs, but given the fact that he bet into 2 people and now is continuing on this turn card, I think he's going to be weighted to more ace-x holdings. My hand is just not the type of hand I really want to be calling down with. With that being said, I think I can find a better spot, so I end up folding my second pair, but partly I'm thinking, am I just getting run over by these players? I don't know. This game is tough. A couple orbits later, I look down at ace-queen offsuit from under the gun. I raise to 125, and the same good player to my left makes the call. Heads up to ace, 8, 3, 2 clubs. Top pair, queen kicker. I continue for $250, and again, I get raised to $700. Well, this is kind of the situation where I'm just going to have to close my eyes and call down. If he's got me beat, I guess he's going to stack me, but my hand is just way too strong to fold. So I come along with a call, and we see a very good turn card of the Queen of Hearts. So if he did have a hand like ace-8 suited, ace-3 suited, we're now beating him with top 2 pair. I check, and unfortunately he snap checks behind. Final card's the 6 of spades, and I continue for a smaller bet of $600, hoping to get called by a weaker ace, but he folds very quickly, and the chips are pushed in our direction. I've only been at this table for about 2 hours. I've gotten aces, jacks, top 2 pair, and now I get dealt in kings from early position. I raise to 125, and only the straddle makes the call. He has about $2,000 left. So when we see a queen, jack, 7 board, and he checks over to me, I decide to go with a big bet of $275 on this flop. Looking to bet big on the flop, big on the turn, and big on the river, but no action for us. He folds very quickly, and this ends up being our last hand of the night. Wow. What a night. Started off playing 5-10. Really wasn't the best game. Not too much action. Nobody really getting out of line. So headed down to Fort Lauderdale downtown. Went to that bar for an hour or two, got some pizza, have a drink, relax. Came back here to the Hard Rock, 1 seat open on the 1025 list, and boom, I got right into the action. Some hands that I wasn't able to record, and I'm sure I'm going to mention this in the video. When you're dealing with like playing against good players, big stakes, like I don't always want to be sitting there trying to make sure I'm recording my hands. I want to be able to focus on the actual hand. So that first hand with aces, I wasn't able to record. I played one other hand where I cold 4-bet ace king offsuit out of the small blind, and then the 3-better jammed all in for 5,000. I called, and we ended up running it twice, and I chopped versus ace king. So fairly exciting session there at the 1025. It was a good game. It was a tough game. Some of the best players in the room, a lot of Euro pros that were there, and I ran pretty well. King, queen, flopping top 2 pair, got the full double up there versus a combo draw, so that's nice. Didn't really get into any opportunities to pull any bluffs or anything like that, but ran fairly well. Ended up winning $3,400 on the night. I lost around $60 though at the bar on pizza, drinks, and parking. So all in all, I think I made about $3,300. It was a good night. It's around 6 a.m. right now. I'm not even that tired. I'm feeling good. My adrenaline is pumping, I guess, from being at the club and then over here playing big stakes. But yeah, that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Please like the video, comment down below, subscribe. My videos have not been getting as many views as the past, and I'm not sure why. It looks like a lot of content creators are not getting quite as many views as they used to get. I don't know exactly what that is, but I would really appreciate it if you guys watch the video, share it to someone, comment, like, all that kind of stuff helps the algorithm as well, helps push the videos. I appreciate it. Until next time, I'll see ya.